God is never going to wake you up and say, hey, go mock other religions. Go and condemn people for believing in a church separate from what you believe. The only thing that's going to wake you up and tell you to go do that is your ego, because you need to feel gratified in your own beliefs because you don't feel grounded in them already. But let me remind you of what the early Christians did. They forced conversions of the pagans in the 4th and 6th centuries. Theodosius the first, he was an emperor during 379 to 395 after the death of Jesus Christ. He made Nicene Christianity the state religion. Nicene Christianity is the Christianity that came 325 years after the death of Christ, where they adopted the idea that Christ and Heavenly Father were the same person. These ideas were never taught before then, okay? These ideas were adopted 325 years after the death and resurrection. The Jews didn't teach it. Jesus didn't teach it. These guys are the ones who made it popular. And they killed you if you didn't accept this idea. They issued laws outlawing pagan sacrifices, rituals, and holidays. Temples were shot down or destroyed. Here's the thing. We're not just saying pagan like Nordic. This was any religion that was not Christianity. So they made Christianity the state religion. Pagans who refused to convert lost legal rights, positions, and in some cases were killed during mob attacks and state-backed violence. Example, the Serapeum in Alexandria, 391 after death, one of the greatest temples in the Roman world, was destroyed by Christian mobs. Pagans defending it were tortured or killed. Next, missionary campaigns backed by violence. Charlemagne and Saxon Wars of the 8th and 9th century. Charlemagne, a Christian king and emperor, led brutal military campaigns to convert the Saxons, a Germanic pagan people. I remember them pouring, there was a story that said they poured tar and set people on fire and lined the streets to warn others. Yeah. Pagan temples were burned and conversion was made mandatory under penalty of death. Massacre of Verdun. Charlemagne ordered the execution of 4,500 Saxons who refused to convert to Christianity. The persecution of the Jews in early church. So the reasons why the Jews did not support the Bible is because they knew it was not divinely inspired. The first 5 books of the Old Testament are from Torah. Torah is what Jesus studied, and there's way more than 5 books, okay? The rest of the book comes from other pieces that have no original transcripts. They are copies of copies. The only books in the New Testament that are not disputed heavily are the letters from Paul and the book of Mark. Ask AI for yourself. So, Visigoth Spain, 6th and 7th centuries. Laws were passed forcing Jews to convert to Christianity. If they refused, their children were taken and baptized without their consent. They were enslaved, exiled, or executed. Some Jews pretended to convert to avoid persecution. These were later hunted down and punished. Byzantine Empire's religious wars. Justinian, 6th century, waged violent campaigns to eliminate non-Christian religions and heretical Christian sects. Samaritans, a religious group similar to Jews, were massacred or forcibly converted. Pagan philosophers were killed or exiled. The Crusades. Ah, yes, the Crusades. King James took a holy crusade, as he called it, to Scotland and killed an entire village that he grew up in because they wouldn't convert to Christianity. Though a bit later, historically, the mindset that non-Christians should be converted or killed was deeply rooted in earlier Christian theology. During the First Crusade, Christian armies massacred entire Muslim and Jewish populations in Jerusalem, including civilians who had surrendered or taken shelter in holy places. Does that sound like the gospel of Christ to you? Does that sound like a place that you want to be associated with? That's why so many people have other beliefs. So when you come after people like me who are members of the LDS Church and you want to condemn our history, you might want to take a look into your own. Because your people did some pretty crappy things to innocents. St. Martin of Tours and the destruction of pagan shrines. A 4th century bishop who traveled through Gaul with a Christian militia. He destroyed pagan altars, temples, and sacred groves under threat of violence. Pagans who resisted were intimidated or beaten into conversion. Laws threatening death or exile for non-conversion. Codex Theodosianus, I think that's how you say that, or Theodosian Code, a legal code in the late Roman Empire that criminalized pagan worship, Jewish practices in some regions. Wasn't Jesus a Jew? And being a heretic. Punishment, confiscation of property, exile, torture, or death. Summary. Once Christianity transitioned from persecuted minority to the official religion of empire, it reversed roles, becoming the persecutor instead of the persecuted. People who refused to convert were executed, enslaved or tortured, had their children taken and baptized against their will, lost their homes, and suffered violent religious purges. So the next time you think, as a Christian, you should go mock somebody's religion or their history, take a look into your own. Because your history isn't very nice and clean and sweet and saint-like. It's horrible. It's torturous. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. And Jesus would not be happy.